Chicago Bears Now is sponsored by 8 Sleep. Go to 8sleep.com/chatsports. Improve your sleep with 8 Sleep. We'll explain how later on in the show. You can get $200 off at 8sleep.com/chatsports. Here's what's coming up on today's show. Pro Football Focus linked some of the top free agent wide receivers to all different sorts of different teams in the NFL, including 2 that could fit in Chicago. They also mentioned 1 that could be leaving and going elsewhere. I'll let you guys connect the dots there. We'll talk about that player later on as well. But you look at the Bears wide receiver depth chart. I mean, to be blunt, after DJ Moore, you don't have much. I mean, I'm hopeful Tyler Scott can take another step. I am not that hopeful Velus Jones can, but maybe he can. Maybe he can prove me wrong. Maybe in a different offense he can. We'll see if Darnell Mooney's back. He's a free agent. But to me, you need 2 more quality receivers. You got DJ, you need 2 more. One like super reliable guy, and then ideally a third super reliable guy, but if not, at least someone who's an upgrade from what you've had at that wide receiver 3 position. That is what you need this offseason. Now, big round of applause to our Bears Now subscribers. The data is in from the 2023 football season. We picked up 23,538 new subscribers. If you're one of our new subs from this past 4 months, shout out to you. We're up to 86,685 subscribers on the channel. That is awesome. Lofty goal, but I want to get to 100,000 subs by the end of the NFL draft. For sure before week 1. I think we could get there by the end of the draft potentially. So if you want to help us out by subscribing, if you haven't already, share the link to this channel to a friend. We're trying to get to 100K. That's a exclusive club here at Chat Sports. We'd be the 4th channel to do it. So appreciate the love, the support that we have gotten already. If you haven't already, subscribe. It's 100% free. Let's get to these wide receiver free agency rumors. We'll talk about the first player, Pro Football Focus, linked to the Bears. That is Calvin Ridley, who's had a bit of a journey, right? Let's kind of revisit just his NFL experience here. He was a Falcons first-round pick back in 2018, 2020. He was tied for 5th in receiving yards, was kind of an all-pro caliber player. Next season, played like 5 games, left the team due to personal reasons. Then he was slated to come back the next year, but before he could, he got suspended for the entire season for NFL gambling violation. Got traded to the Jaguars during that trade deadline, then got reinstated and had a pretty good bounce-back campaign, 1,000 yards. Now, he did not look quite like the dominant player we saw in his last full season prior to this year, which was in 2020, but that's to be expected. In over a 2-year period, he only played in like 5 games. So the fact that he came back after almost 2 years off, had 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns, pretty damn good. I think he's a very good number 2 wide receiver at this point. Low end number 1, like low end, like he's probably the 25th best receiver in the NFL or something like that. But like you put him with DJ Moore, that's something I'm very, very intrigued with. Now, Pro Football Focus projected this contract for Ridley, and if this is true, I'm really intrigued. 2 years, $32.5 million, average of $16.25 million, $21.5 guaranteed. That's not bad, man, for a guy who has multiple 1,000-yard seasons under his belt, who is coming off a 1,000-yard season, still just 29 years old. You get him in that $15 to $17 million per year range on a 2-year deal. Sign me up for that. You can still draft a receiver if you want to. So I'm a big fan of this type of contract breakdown if this is what his contract ends up being. Now, what is your ideal path, Bears fans, to landing a number 2 receiver? That's the word I should have used. Obviously, if you sign, it's free agency. But free agency or draft? Type F for free agency, D for draft. I still think draft because A, it's cheaper on your cap hit, and B, I do think there are some big-time receivers here. But let me know, F for free agency or D for draft. Now, some of those big-time draft prospects obviously include Marvin Harrison Jr., who, if you stay at 9, I don't think you're going to get him. I don't think you're getting Malik Nabers either at 9. Maybe Odunze falls there, maybe not. Brian Thomas Jr. has been rising up boards. 9's a little rich for me, but I think he can step in and be a number 2 receiver in the NFL, potentially as a rookie. There's a lot of other names, too. This is a great wide receiver draft. Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, Roman Wilson. There's all kinds of guys. Ladd McConkey's flying up boards right now. the Georgia wide receiver. So you can find dudes in the draft. So maybe it's a combination of one guy in free agency, one in the draft. Pair those guys with DJ Moore. Boom, you got a pretty good trio that you're feeling good about. All right, before we get to the next player here, let's get to today's sponsor. That is 8Sleep, 8sleep.com/chatsports for $200 off. 8Sleep is the high-tech solution to your age-old sleeping issues, as their Pod 3 cover slips right over your mattress, bringing heating and cooling technology that keeps you comfortable and sleeping deeper for a better, more restful night. I picked up my Pod 3 cover from 8Sleep a few months ago, and I've never slept better. Sleep science shows that in order to sleep our best, our body temperatures need to drop in the early and middle part of sleep and rise in the morning. The pod cover will improve your sleep by automatically adjusting your bed's temperature based on your individual needs. The cover can be added to any bed like a fitted sheet, which you're seeing on your screen, and it allows you and your partner to cool or warm your side of the bed as low as 55 degrees and up to 110 degrees. Not only does it keep you at the perfect temperature all night long, the pod also tracks your sleep and health metrics. On average, users their sleep quality improved by 32% after just 1 month on the pod. Think about that. Start the new year off right with 8Sleep's Pod 3. Go to 8sleep.com/chatsports. Get $200 off plus free shipping. That's 8sleep.com/chatsports for $200 off. Link is in the comments and in the description. Start sleeping better with 8Sleep. Next up on our free agency rumors at wide receiver, Curtis Samuel. This was the other receiver the Pro Football Focus linked to the Bears. I like Curtis Samuel. He's always been a player that I think is just a textbook number 3, especially in today's NFL. Brad Spielberger mentioned that Bear star wide receiver DJ Moore is very close friends with Samuel from their shared time with Carolina, and perhaps there's something to be taken about Moore's influence in Chicago from the Bears hiring Moore's former wide receivers coach at Maryland, Chris Beatty. Samuel offers a skill set the Bears seemingly tried to acquire in drafting Velus Jones Jr. He can carry the ball out of the backfield, also rack up yards after the catch from the slot and wide alignments. You look at Curtis Samuel's last 6 years, and the last 3 in Washington, 3 prior to that in Carolina, which again, a few of those were with DJ Moore. Outside of 2021, when he got injured early in the year and only played in 5 games, he's been pretty damn productive, right? And he's kind of been the same guy. He's between 500 and 800 yards, usually in that 600 range, and he's going to give you 4 or 5 touchdowns. I love him as a wide receiver 3. He can give you some gadget plays as well, but I do want to be clear. He's not just a gadget guy. Like, to me right now, Velus Jones is just a gadget guy. Like, you don't trust him to run routes. He doesn't track the ball that well. Curtis Samuel can give you more of that. Better hands, more reliable. He hasn't returned punts in recent years, but if you wanted him to do that, he can do it. I like this idea. Get him as your number 3. Go draft the number 2 guy in the draft to go with DJ Moore as your 1. You could really turn this wide receiver unit around quickly, and I don't think it costs that much either. PFF's contract, 2 years, $18 million, 9 on average, 11.5 guaranteed, which means basically you're only on the hook for 1 year plus a couple million in year 2. So, if things didn't work out the first year, you could cut them with limited penalty there, $2.5 million. So I think this works. If you could get him at this cost, I'd be in. This is about the range for a quality wide receiver 3, $8 to $10 million bucks, and he certainly would provide some different things to this offense. This is why you subscribe. Free agency rumors are kicking up. We obviously have a lot of draft coverage to discuss. I'm going to the NFL Combine. We'll bring you a lot of good content from there. Subscribe today. Turn on those notifications by hitting that bell after you do subscribe, and never miss a video here on Chicago Bears Now. And then we got to talk about Darnell Mooney. PFF has linked Darnell Mooney to going elsewhere. Doesn't mean he won't return, but he is a free agent. PFF has linked him to the Chiefs and the Chargers. I do think those both make sense. One, the Chargers are in cap hell. They may have to cut Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, or both. At least one of those guys. Kansas City makes sense. Matt Nagy's back there. Mooney knows the offense. They do a good job with these undersized receivers, getting them the ball in space. I don't know what's happened to Darnell Mooney since this new regime took over, but Luke Getsy managed to turn, and I'm not saying it's all Getsy's fault, it's a combination, I'm sure, but he went from being a 1,000-yard receiver to like a below-average number 3 based on production. He was starting to pick it up last year, then he got hurt. I think that foot this year still lingered a bit. He just never looked right to me. I do wonder what Shane Waldron's thoughts are, the new OC. Like, does he feel like he could get Darnell Mooney back on track? And I don't even mean as a 1,000-yard guy, but like Curtis Samuel type of numbers, right? Different type of player, but like a guy who can catch 50 balls, have 700 yards, like that'd be ideal for him if he came back as your number 3. But I don't know how Shane Waldron feels about Darnell Mooney. You would think he would review some of that tape and give some input on that. PFF projects 1 year, $9 million, fully guaranteed. So kind of the Curtis Samuel deal, but only for 1 year. I'm open to that deal, to bringing him back. I just think it's probably not going to be the case. I'll ask you guys first. Should the Bears re-sign Darnell Mooney? Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Again, I'm open to it if the price is reasonable. But if I'm being fully honest and transparent, I'd probably just move on. Like, I got to think deep down he probably wants to move on as well. Now, if Justin returns, maybe he wants to stay. They're very tight. But if Justin gets traded, Darnell Mooney's probably like, I'm starting fresh. I'm starting somewhere else. So I'd probably move on. I think that's best for both sides. But I still think there is a scenario where he could return. All right, there you have it. Some wide receiver free agency rumors from Pro Football Focus that I reacted to. If you have any input, any thoughts, obviously light up the comments. But you can also follow me on Twitter at HGramNFL. Always chopping things up over there. Feel free to check us out.